Hey guys, this is Miss A. I'm going to make a quick little video for you, or hopefully it's quick, a little video for you to help you remember how to change a fraction into a decimal. Okay, here we go. The first thing that we need to remember is that the fraction bar literally means to divide. So if I were to give you the fraction 3/8 or 3/8, this is literally saying to take 3 and divide it by 8. So we would have to take 3 and divide by 8. Okay, now the trickiest part of this is remembering where to put each number. You by default always want to put the bigger number on the inside because that's what you're used to back in 5th grade elementary school. The bigger number always went in and the smaller number went on the outside, but that's not always the case now. So I taught y'all a couple different ways to help you remember how to set up the division problem. So a couple of them we're going to review right here. The first one we talked about, the one that I go to the most, is the method TIBO, the acronym TIBO, which stands for top, in, bottom, out. So the top number, the numerator, the top goes in. So in 3/8, we put the top number inside the division house, and we put the bottom number out. So the denominator goes on the outside. So my denominator is 8. It's on the bottom, so it goes on the outside. So that is TIBO, top, in, bottom, out. The other method that that I showed you, which I did see several of you when I taught this at the beginning of the school year, several of you were like drawing this on every single fraction. Y'all like this method the most, the cowboy method. So the cowboy method takes the fraction 3/8 or any fraction and kind of makes a little visual for it. So you draw a horse using the fraction bar, the number on top becomes the cowboy, so you draw a little cowboy hat, and then you have the horse is the number at the bottom. So then if you think about it, if you think of the division problem being the division house, the man goes inside the house and then the horse stays on the outside of the house. Okay, so you can see they're both set up the same exact way. It's just a different way to help you remember. TIBO, top and bottom out, or the cowboy method. Totally up to you which one you use. All right, so let's do some examples. So here we go. We have the fraction 3/8. So we've already put the division problem, 3 divided by 8. Top number went in, bottom number goes out. And now we're going to do the division. So the first thing we notice is that 8 is bigger than 3, so we know that 8 can't go into 3. So you have to put a 0 above the 3. And then we have to add something that allows us to keep dividing but doesn't change the problem. So if I just put a 0 here, that number changes from a 3 to a 30. But again, I cannot change it from 3 divided by 8. So instead of putting just a 0, making it 30, if I put a decimal and then a 0, that keeps the number inside still 3. 3.0 is the same thing as 3. So adding a decimal and a 0 is what you have to do in order to keep on dividing. So now we're going to drag the decimal up, and now we can look at how many times does 8 go into 30. One thing I do hope you are using, just like I tell you every single day in class, is to use your multiplication chart. If you have your packet that you should have picked up on Monday from school, they had you fill in a multiplication chart. So I don't have one, so I'm going to simply fill in my multiples of 8 here on the side so we have something to refer to, just like you do on your chart. So my multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, and 80. I'm going to stop there. Again, these are just the numbers that are found in your multiplication chart under the number 8, the first 10 multiples of 8. So now we're going to look at how many times does 8 go into 30. So if you look here, we're looking for 30 without going over 30. So we can see that it goes in 1, 2, 3 times because 32 is a little bit too big. So 3 times, which is 24. So my 3 goes here, 24 goes here, and now I can subtract. So we're going to borrow. That becomes a 10. So now 10 minus 4 gets me 6. And then 2 minus 2 is nothing. We can leave it blank. Please don't make the very easy, common mistake of saying 0 minus 4 is 4. You cannot take 4 away from 0. You have to borrow to make the 0 become a 10. All right, but we got a remainder, so we have to keep on dividing. So to do that, we have to add another 0 and bring it down. Now we're looking at 8 into 60. So we go over here, we're looking at 8 into 60 without going over. So we can see that it goes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 64 is a little bit too big. So 7 times, which is 56. 7 and 56. And now we can subtract. Again, can't do 0 minus 6. So we have to borrow. Becomes a 10. Now we have 10 minus 6 is 4. 5 minus 5 is 0. So again, we have a remainder, so we have to keep on going because we're not repeating. We're not repeating up here, and my remainder has not repeated, so I can't stop. So add another 0, bring it down, and now we're looking at 8 into 40. So go over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exactly 5 times, which is 40. So we have 5, 40. Now that we have a remainder of 0, we are allowed to stop. So my decimal equivalent of 3/8 is 0.375 or 375 thousandths. Okay, so again, we just did one of these two methods, Tae-Bo or cowboy method. Let's do another example. That was number 1. Let's do another one, number 2. This fraction is going to be 3/4. So again, we're going to use the acronym Tae-Bo or cowboy method. So Tae-Bo, draw your division house. Tae-Bo stands for top in, bottom out. So the top number goes in, the bottom number goes out. Now we see that 4 cannot go into 3 because it's bigger, so we add a 0 on top. And in order to keep on dividing, you have to keep the number of 3 by putting a decimal and then a 0, and then you can drag the decimal up. So my multiples of 4, again, I don't have a chart, but I can write those down here. We'll do 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Sorry, I had it to my eye. All right, so 4 goes into 30. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be a little bit too big. So it's 7 times, which is 28. Subtract, we get 2. Oh, sorry. Can't do it in my head. Borrow from the 3 to make it a 2, and then the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Then we're going to add a 0 because we got a remainder. 4 into 20. So we see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, which is exactly 20. So 5, 20, and then we subtract, we get 0. Once you get a remainder of 0, you can stop. So 3/4 is 0.75 or 75 hundredths. And that should make sense because if you think of it, if you have 3 out of 4 quarters, 3 quarters make 75 cents. All right, and then one more example. Number 3 is 1/3. So yet again, we're going to Tae-Bo, top in, bottom out. 3 cannot go into 1, so put a 0. And then in order to keep on dividing, we have to put a decimal and a 0 beside the 1. Bring that decimal up. 3 goes into 10 3 times, which is 9. Subtract 10 minus 9 is 1. Add another 0. Bring it down. 3 goes into 10 3 times, which is 9. Subtract, we get 1. So you notice that every single time we got a remainder of 1. Oops. And then when we add that 0, we always got 10. And also my numbers up here were repeating. So once that happens, you can stop. You don't have to, you can't continue anymore because it's just going to keep on going and going and going. So your decimal for 1/3 is not 0.3. It's not 0.33. We have to put a bar above the 3 to represent that that number is repeating. So anytime you have a repeating decimal, simply put a bar on top of the number that repeats, and that is it. So 1/3 is equal to 0.3 repeating. All right, that's changing fractions into decimals, a skill that we have done in almost every single unit that we have done this year. Changing fractions into decimals by division. One more time. Remember, you've got Tae-Bo, top and bottom out, or cowboy method to help you remember it. Hope this helps. Take care, guys. Be safe. Bye.